Today I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to ace the oral portion of your Checkride or EOC. My name's Andrew and I'm an EOC examiner here at Thrust Flight, and I've got a few recommendations for you based upon the common deficiencies that we see on end of course exams. Our first recommendation is to have your paperwork in order. As an examiner, we only get one chance at getting a first impression of you. And so having your documents in order, having all of your logbooks totaled and tabbed is really that first impression that we get of you as a student and you as a potential pilot. Our second recommendation is to know your resources. As an applicant during an end of course exam or a Checkride, you're allowed to use various resources. Primary one that you'll be using is what's called the FAR aim. One recommendation we have for this is that you want to make sure that you know how to utilize these resources appropriately. It's got all the regulations and information that you might need in order to pass that Checkride, but you need to know where to find it. Our final recommendation is to know the ACS. The last issue that we often see when it comes to a Checkride or an EOC is unfamiliarity with the Airman Certification Standards, or ACS. The ACS is a list of all of the requirements that we have to fulfill and the knowledge that you have to have in order to become a private pilot or instrument pilot. It lists all the topics that are required, and we will go through them one by one when it comes to the day of your Checkride. So having a copy of this and knowing what you're going to be tested over is an extremely important thing to pay attention to when it comes to preparing for your Checkride. A great way to make sure that you're prepared for all of the topics and standards that are in this is to make an outline over all of the required topics. So for instance, if I'm testing you on cross-country flight planning, you might be able to prepare an outline for all of the required subtopics under that task. Another great way to make sure that you're prepared for all of the topics in the Airman Certification Standards is to utilize ASA's Oral Exam Guide. It's a great resource that I recommend to all of our students. It's written in a question and answer format, built straight out of the ACS. And for the most part, if the question isn't in here, I'm probably not going to ask it on the Checkride. Obviously, these are just a few ways to prepare for the oral portion of your Checkride or EOC. If you have any further questions or recommendations, be sure to mention them in the comments. And if you're interested in more tips like these, be sure to like and subscribe.